Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado, and this is my buddy Puccini, who helps me in the craft room. He is full of the devil right now, so I'm going to set him down and let him run around a little bit and work off some of this theme here that he's got. I have a different kind of video for you today. I have two projects to show you. One of the things that's in the Celebration catalog is this stamp set and paper set that is called Friendly Hello. And I thought, I'm in love with one of the papers in this set. And it's the one that's on top that shows the birds and the flowers. And I was frustrated in that I got this and I sure didn't want to have 15 of these, but I wanted more of the paper, and you can only order it with the paper and the stamp set. So what are we going to do? Now, I have an opportunity to give some away as prizes, and when Celebration is over, I may do that because I did order a couple of these to just do as door prizes and or, for my card class. I made my own designer series paper out of this, and as long as you've got white cardstock and this particular stamp set, you can too. So I thought that one of the things that I would show you today is how to make your own designer series paper and have an endless supply of this beautiful paper with the flowers and the birds. So I'm going to show you how to do that today, and then I also have another project. And it's something that I make all the time, and I don't usually do videos on it, and they're Post-it note holders. And I use them as gifts to customers. I use them as gifts to my card class people. I take them as hostess gifts to people whose home I'm visiting. I find endless uses for them, including in craft shows. And so I thought I would show you how to do that, and it's a wonderful way to use up your scraps. So let's just get started. Here is the stamp set and the paper, and this paper is absolutely gorgeous. Let me open up a package of this so you can see what it looks like on the inside. I love particularly this top paper that's in this set, and it's just so pretty, and I've made a couple of projects with it, and when I did my card class, I ran out of the paper that I wanted to use for making the cards that I wanted. So I did do a project where I made my own designer series paper, and this is the paper that I made here, and this is just on a piece of 8.5 by 11, just basic white paper, and there it is. And this is the paper that comes in the package of designer series paper. Now, it's not exactly the same, and mine isn't quite as full as theirs, but I could keep going. I could keep adding little bits and pieces because there's a ton of little stamps, and when you look at this stamp set, you've got the splatter dots, you've got this little flower, you've got this tiny little floral piece, this little piece here, you've got the big flowers, you've got this greenery, these leaves, and the bird, and all of this. So I used this, and this. And everything but the sentiments, and that's how I came up with this paper. And the ink that's used for this is fresh freesia, and I'm gonna make a little bit more of this paper, and you can maybe make it along with me or see exactly how you might want to do this. And you can do this for a lot of the stamp sets we have. This particular one appealed to me because I just loved the way this stamp set came out. So the pink in here is petal pink. At first I thought it was pale papaya, but it's not. And then it uses shaded spruce, and mine is a little dry, probably needs to be re-inked. Then we have Pool Party and Granny Apple Green And some of these are going to have to be off camera just because I don't have the room. So all of those plus Memento for the basic black. That is the splatters here. Although on mine, I did some of the splatters in the shaded spruce as well, and I liked the way that looked. So let me put down my inks here and get a second piece of paper. And what I did was kind of took a look at the way this was set up, this paper. It has, if I took this 8.5 by 11 piece and put it over the top of that, it'd be from here to about here. So if I take that off and look at this, in that space I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birds. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 of those large flowers. I've got, you know, you can sort of count up and see how many you should have. So one of the things that I did, this bird is done in multiple colors. And I tried doing mine in multiple colors unsuccessfully. So what I'm going to show you was what I did is I inked my bird up in Pool Party, and I started stamping my bird, and according to that I could have as many as 5 or 6 of these. So I'm just putting them around the paper here, getting a good bunch of those in place. And I'm going to use some scratch paper here and maybe do one more bird kind of off the bottom here. There we go. And so that is the bird. Then I have these large flowers, and I have a handy wipe here all ready to go with some water on it. And I'm going to clean off my stamp, and that was done in Petal Pink, and it was also done in Fresh Freesia. So the first thing I'm going to do is put some Petal Pink flowers on here. And same thing, it looks like these bigger ones, you know, 4 or 5 of them is plenty. So I'm going to set one a bit off on this side and maybe one a bit off on this side. And then I'm going to clean off my stamp, and I'm going to do this stamp again in the Fresh Freesia. And so if I follow along here and just don't put everything, you know, sort of right next to each other, you still have plenty of opportunity to put, oops, I did that one in Petal Pink with a little Fresh Freesia on it. Okay, so in Fresh Freesia here, and with so many open ink pads, it's pretty easy to do something like that. There we go. All right, so that takes care of that larger flower. Then I went down in size. This little bit of leaves was done in Granny Apple Green. Let me bring my Granny Apple out and take out my Pool Party here. And just nice and inked up, and put this one because it's kind of the next largest item. And they don't all have to go in the same direction. In fact, it's kind of fun when they don't. And I'm going to stick some here on the ends. And I'm just going to put this boy all over my paper. And there's a nice big empty spot over here. And I might want that coming in from off. Oops, that didn't stamp very well. So that's a good excuse to show to you that I also have all of my markers for those same colors. And here I'm going to want to take my Granny Apple and draw some of those leaves back in here. And frankly, by the time you get done, you don't see very much of this. And so it doesn't have to be perfect, but that does kind of complete that look. All right, so more granny apple. Maybe one right in here. It's kind of a tight fit. Some up here, and maybe one off over here. All right. Well, the next largest one is this one, and it's a little bit of a flower with a few leaves on it. And I decided on that one, I was going to do that in 3 colors, or 2, at least 2. So I'm doing some in this petal pink, and let's see, where do I want to put that? Maybe right up here. There we go. And I really screwed that up with that petal pink right there. But in the end, I think it's going to be fine. Then I'm going to clean that off, and I'm going to do a little bit more in the fresh freesia. And see if I can't break up this petal pink down here and put some different places around on my paper. And you can keep in mind, you can always trim your paper up to get a different kind of look or a different part of the paper. And I will probably end up making, 6 or 7 of these sheets, and then use smaller bits of it to embellish certain kinds of projects that I have. And do what I say, not what I do here by mixing up the colors. All right, I think that's enough of that one. Then I have these little, let me move that out of the way here and bring in my shaded spruce, because that's not one we have anything of right now. And I'm just going to put these little guys kind of all over the place on my designer series paper that I'm making. And just drop those in lots of different places here. And get that look. Here we go. And I think that's all I'm going to do with that. And then we've got these leaves, and this smaller leaf I started doing in granny apple. And so I started adding some leaves around some of the flowers. And then some of them are not attached to flowers at all. But I can add some leaves in here. And again, if you misstamp like I did there, you can always take your granny apple marker and kind of finish that out and make it as dark as you want. And then on some of these where the bird we did in the pool party, I overstamped this leaf on top of one of those in the green so that I got a variation in the color. And I did that, and it's not perfect match, but what is. So I did that a little bit, and then I put a few more of these granny apple leaves around on my paper. And I can always add more. Now I'm going to take this little splatter stamp, and I'm going to do it in the black. And you can see how this is coming together. And just little black splatters wherever you think they might add to and fill in the paper. And because it's a little bit curved, you can go around things and fill in. You can certainly go off the page to get the splatters that you want where you want them, and just making sure that I get some all kinds of places on my paper. And I think that's starting to be awfully pretty. And now I'm going to take another one of these small things, and this is like this one, only a little bit smaller, and I thought I might try doing that in black. I know it's not really what they called for, and then I'm going to wipe that off, and I'm going to do some of it in shaded spruce, and just filling in a couple of different places here to get that different look. Oops. And actually, I think that's pretty good. Now, what I did do, and you can choose to do or not, is make yours a little different by either using your blends or your markers to fill in a few of the items. So, in some cases, I used my markers. Oh, and I didn't do any of the big leaves. Well, maybe I'll do a few in the shaded spruce, because that does add a little something to it, and the leaf itself is actually not real big. So adding a few of those around in different places on my paper. I'm kind of running out of places to put stuff, but it adds a little bit of interest, doesn't it, to do something just a tiny bit different. And there I've used all of the colors that I had out, and I think I'm going to do one more in the shaded spruce, but I'm going to use that smaller leaf, like in here, put those two leaves together and have one be shaded spruce. Same thing down here. And it's a way to get a little bit more color in a little different way on the paper. And so there we go. Let me see if I can overstamp that. That worked out pretty good. Okay, so there is my designer series paper. There is their designer series paper, and I think it's pretty close. And it's going to give me the opportunity, and now I have 2 pages of this done. And so I've extended my designer series paper. And so I wanted to just share that with you, because I thought, as you saw, it didn't take very long to do that. Just a few minutes, and then you've got sort of your own custom designer series paper. And this can be chopped into, you know, like 3-inch strips by 4 and put on cards, or put at the top or the bottom of something, just to add a little bit of color. And we've got all of this ribbon that matches this. We can do quite a bit with that. So that's what I did for that. Now let me show you the other project that I have in mind for you today. And I'll show you, this is one of the little Post-it notes. It says, "Just a little hi from me," and it's got a 3x3-inch piece of designer series paper, a little bit of ribbon, some silver, and some rhinestones. And some of these rhinestones are left over from paper pumpkin projects. They're ones that came with kits, and I didn't use them all. The template for this is very simple, and you can get, I think, 3 of these out of one piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. And this is 3 1/4 inches wide and 7 inches long. So at 8, you can go 3 1/4, 3 1/4, 3 1/4, and 3 1/4, and you can get 3 of these out of one sheet of paper. Now, then the scoring, and the scoring is done at 3 1/4 and 3 3/4, or 3 1/4 from either side. And what that allows you to do is to take a Post-it note, which I've got here, and what I do with mine is, so that it's got some support while I'm decorating this, is I just put some Tombow on the inside of the card. And this is a wonderful way to use up scraps of paper. So we're going to set this in place and center that on there. Now you can choose to glue that top part down or not. I have a tendency, well, I'm going to not glue it down because when you tear these off and you get down to the bottom, if this is open a little bit, somebody else can take another Post-it note and just drop it in and re-glue it in place. So these can be used again. Now, I have a lot of samples of the kinds of things that you can do. This is part of the Memories and More pack from Heart and Home. And this little piece of paper was there. So all you need is strips of paper that are 3 inches by 3 inches to go on the front. Now, if it were me and I only had a couple of pieces that were not quite 3 inches by 3 inches, I might put a piece on the top and a piece on the bottom and a piece of coordinating designer series paper or cardstock between the two pieces. And so you can use the tiniest scraps of your designer series paper. And if you're like me, this isn't all of them that I have, but I have little labels that I didn't use. Here's a bird. Here's a flower from last week's project that could go on here. Here's a one of those medallions that's just beautiful. And actually, this one will fit on here if it goes sideways. And so you could do something like this and put the flower going the other way, put a few embellishments, put a little tag on it that says "For You" or "Life is Beautiful" or whatever you'd like to have on there. And so you can come up with all different kinds of things. This was the project that I had last that you saw me make up paper, and I had a little piece of this that had pieces chopped out of it all around. And so I put a piece of evening evergreen here that is 3 inches by 3 inches, because this is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And put this down here, and I'm going to layer this right on here. And it just so happens this is pear pizzazz that I made my base out of, and again, that's 3 1/4 by 7 inches, scored at 3 1/4 and 3 3/4. And then I have this little piece of paper that has both like an old olive or pear pizzazz in it and the evening evergreen. So I thought that would work particularly well. So I'm just going to add a little bit of snail and center that right on here. Now, the embellishments. Oh, I don't know about you. I've got a drawer full of embellishments, and I have ones that are like this. These are left over from a kit that I got, and it's got yellow and it's got white and real dark pink. And then I've got ones like this that are kind of an iridescent. They almost have a blue cast. But I had also just gotten a package of these beautiful brass butterflies, and I thought that might be kind of a fun project to try on this, because there's always butterflies on flowers. There we go. And I thought it would be kind of fun to put a bigger butterfly, right up here, maybe where we could see it for sure, and then put a little one here and another right in here. And I thought that made really pretty little embellishments. Oh, that butterfly lost his sticky, so I'm going to try a different one. Right in here. And so I've got 3 of the butterflies on there, and I could put a message, or you could leave it without a message. And here's some evening evergreen, and I think what I'm going to do is just put a knot bow on this so that it takes almost no time to put together. And I'm going to snip off those edges right there and there, and use a glue dot. But the point of all of this is that I know you have a drawer full of leftover embellishments, and most of us hoard the paper. Hate to cut it up, and then when you do, you don't want to throw away the scraps. Well, with this kind of a project, you can use those scraps and really put them to good use. I'm going to put this little bow right down here on my project, right across the bottom here, and I think those tails are almost too long for this project, so I'm going to cut them off even a little shorter. And there we go. I have a cute little project that is done with some florals and just a tiny bit of scrap of designer series paper. And in this case, it's using a little bit of cardstock, but it's from my cut pieces that, you know, are kind of odd sizes left over from projects. I go to that stash first, but this could have easily gone, you know, on here or on here, and then add a message and more ribbon. It's just use your imagination. There's a million things you can do. So I thought I would just show you some of the ones that we have made. I used to put these in a shop. Shop is since closed because of COVID. But that's our state of Colorado facsimile of the flag. And I had put those in that shop to sell for a long time. And these, we did a craft show at Christmas time, one of my team members and I, and these things sold like hotcakes. So you remember this, I think it was Country Home or Country Living, and so we made some up that work for some of the guys, and then old leftover paper. Let me grab some of these from the hydrangea, and then this is a part of this stamp, and there's one of those but with a butterfly, and it says hello sunshine on it. And so there's lots of ways to do it with just a little bit of ribbon and some of that. And let's see, for Valentine's or for a birthday, I've got just a ton of these. Some of it's newer stuff and some of it is a bit older, but you'll recognize that from one that we have had in the past. And we made one, my partner here made one with a VW bus on it. And so here's one with a current celebration driving by just to say hi. So you can make them more feminine, you can make them more country, or in this case maybe masculine. There's 100 things you can do to use up scraps and make these darling little post-it note holders. Now, I will list a resource below. I did find that on Amazon I can get 24 packages of these post-it notes by a company called Highland, and I'll put a link below. And those packages of 24 are very inexpensive, certainly less. If you buy a post-it note at a stationery store, it's going to cost you $3.50. But if you get these from Highland, you can get the 24 pack for, like, I'm going to make this up, it's $8 or something like that. So it makes these very affordable to do. And I'll have to say, I even put them out in my card class for people to buy if they are so inclined. And sometimes people want something that's just already made up. But it's a lovely project, and I thought I would share that with you. They're very simple to make, and you can use up little bits of ribbon. You can use up, where you've got 3 or 4 of a color of rhinestone left from a kit or a paper pumpkin, and find a way to use them. This paper is really old. It's 3 or 4 years old. This paper is a couple years old. And a lot of these stamps are retired stamps that I just couldn't bear to part with. This one's got little flowers. So we had a little flower punch at one time. So they're pretty easy to put together, and they make up just beautifully. So anyway, that is my project for the day. So here is my designer series paper that we made together today, and the Post-it note project. So that's it for me, and I hope you find this useful and can stretch your designer series paper from this beautiful Friendly Hello stamp set. And I'm thrilled that I figured out how to make the paper, because I'll use it in a bunch of projects. And I'm not afraid to tackle a card class now, because I can just make as much paper as I need. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. There's a wonderful offer right now in Stampin' Up! To join, and it's $125 worth of product for $99, which is the normal deal. But in January and February, while Celebration is going on, you can pick an additional 2 stamp sets. So then it depends on what stamp sets you pick. You can increase your package from $125 worth of product to maybe $165 or $75, depending on the stamp sets that you pick. So it's a wonderful time to join. Again, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll be back with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!